everybody, OuterOrange here, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing Tommy the Ghosty Brothers and Granblue Card Fight Vanguard clan, and what it does and why you should keep running it in your deck or not keep running it depending on your playstyle. So let's go on in and discuss it today. Welcome back. So today we're going to be discussing Tommy the Ghosty Brothers, as I mentioned, and what you can do with the card, and what you can do with the card in your clan, in Granblue specifically, and how it works with Night Rose, and some really awesome things about the card that some people may not have known that you can do with the card. I'll start with pretty much explain what the card is and kind of what it does for the clan. So we're going to go ahead and read the card right now. So, Vanguard Rearguard Continuous. During your turn, if your drop zone has 5 or more cards, this unit gets 5k. And then its second skill is Auto on Vanguard Rearguard. When placed from hand, look at 5 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 grade 3 from among them and put it into your hand. Shuffle your deck, and if you put a card into your hand, discard a card from your hand. So pretty much, as some people in Vanguard like to call these cards are usually grade 3 searchers. They search for a grade 3, get into your hand, and you discard a card for it. There is a ton of them. It's kind of like the new meta of like grade 1 units that people put into their decks. And in Granblue, this card is actually really solid because in most clans, discarding cards actually kind of hurts because they don't really draw enough or they don't really want to discard their pieces. But in this clan, it actually is super good. And part of the reason for that is because of the Stormride Ghost Ship and I forgot his name. Dragon Undead Skull Dragon. Everyone just calls him Skull Dragon. But anyway, so these two cards are pretty much dead cards in your hand, and they're cards that you really want into your drop zone as soon as possible. And Tommy the Ghosty Brothers kind of gives you another way to get that in that isn't Greed Shade. Another thing that's really nice about this is that it's just really good filtering to just get something in and get something out. And thing of why this is really good is that if you look at top 5. Sorry, I'm trying to get my cards. If you look at top 5 with this card, and out of top 5, this is the card that's in the top 5. You pick this card up and then you go ahead and discard it. And now it's in your drop zone. It's ready to go. It's ready to rumble for your Night Rose turn. So it's actually really good combination with these two cards of what you can do. That's why this is really good. Also, just getting your rides is pretty nice. So yeah. Anyway, going on to our next point, going back to the first skill, if you have 5 or more cards in your drop zone, you get an extra 5k, makes this a 13k hitter, and this is actually really good. This is a 13k booster. Something the clan really suffers from is having a good card that boosts. Like, there are cards that can get to some pretty nice numbers, but this card kind of is a consistent 13k booster after you have 5 cards in your drop. There's a lot of grade 3 searchers out there that have a little bit of trouble getting to this 5k, like you kind of have to work for it. You don't have to do that in this clan, because getting to 5 cards in your drop is actually pretty easy. You guard a couple times, you mill something, and boom, you're at 5. It's not very hard to get to 5, and I think it's kind of silly that they put it at 5. They probably should have put it at like 10 or something, but don't tell them I said that. Anyway, but yeah, so this is a really easy early on 30k booster that you can probably use straight up on your Night Rose attack. So if you do put it down, you can start swinging for some pretty decent numbers, because 13k is actually pretty high. It by itself is already a force number, and all you have to do is just stack on top of that. So it's very nice. Very nice booster. On top of it being a booster, it is also an attacker. Some people forget that when you play Night Rose, anything that goes on the board, it gets retired, right? And if you want certain things into your drop zone, you can attack with them first and then go ahead and bring them back. So this card can be your starting point. So you put your Night Rose down, you put this on one side, you put something else on the other side. You can actually attack with this. If you're trying to save yourself cards, or say you have a Rune Shade in your hand, you don't want to use it, whatever is in your hand, say you have a Stormride Ghost Ship that you can't use, whatever it is, this card does hit. This card hits. It's 13k, it hits force. The only thing it doesn't hit is Majesty Ward Blaster. That's because he's an 18k base after about like first grade 3 ride, so he's kind of spicy in his numbers. But this card hits force, it hits protect, it hits excel, so you can literally just swing with this alone. I mean, yes, it's a small number, but if you're just trying to go for attacks and trying to save your hand size, this is actually really nice. For those people that like to keep their hand size, this is one of the ways you can do that. So not only is it a booster, but it's also a solid attacker, so why not? You know, it's just a little baby Excel number coming at you. So another good thing, I mentioned it kind of a little bit earlier, but this card is a good way to get re-rides. So one thing that the clan currently struggles with in a Night Rose build specifically is usually most people that I've seen, and even myself, we run 10 critical and 2 draw PGs, and that lowers our PG size quite a bit. So there's no way to really perfect guard some of our cards out. And on top of that, we don't have many perfect guards to begin with, so rewriting is kind of the only way we can get perfect guards. And honestly, this deck doesn't really utilize rewriting as much as like some other clans do, or some other variants of this deck. So that being said, this gives you access to potentially rewriting again if you need it. For those of you who run stuff that isn't just Night Rose and Skull Dragon, this is super nice. For those people that just run Night Rose and Skull Dragon, it may not be as good, but you could still hit those Skull Dragons as I mentioned before. So that's another thing, is it's just more ways to hit your grade 3s, filter out your deck, and hit and ride as quickly as possible between your Skull Dragon and getting your Night Rose as soon as possible. So that's another thing that's good about this card. Next going in is Greed Shade. Works really well with this card. So Greed Shade's right here, and the skill is you discard a card, mill 2, bring a card back. This card states that you can place it from hand, and this card gives you access to get this card back to hand. So pretty much, in case you really want to use this card, like if you need to, you can easily use this skill and fetch this back and then instantly play it. And there are circumstances where this does actually work really well. It may not be always the case. If you just need it, you can do it. That's just something that these two are really nice. There isn't a lot of clans that can search out their grade 3 searchers and play them again. This is one of the few clans that can do that, and it's actually really nice and can be used really well, whether you want it as a 13k beat stick, or if you want to search for your deck some more. And going on to my next point of searching your deck, late game filtering is super nice. If you have triggers in your deck and you're down to 8 cards and you want to make sure you hit those triggers ASAP, this is another way to utilize that. So as a Granblue player, usually you know what's left in your deck, and if you don't know what's left in your deck, then that's a big no-no. Learn to know what's left in your deck, because knowing what your last 8, 7, 5, 6, whatever cards are, it can be a big game changer in how you play out your game. There's a reason why people ask to look at your drop zone. It's because they want to know just as bad as you should know what's going on in your deck. So that being said, in case you have a grade 3 in your deck, you can use this to search it out and get it out of there, and that way it gives you a better chance to not only land more shield value type cards in your hand, but it also filters your deck out to where you'll just be able to hit your triggers even better. It gives you a higher chance of doing that, and this card does that, and you can do it late game, and the cost is literally just put it from hand to the board. And on top of the fact that late game you want your numbers to be as high as possible at this point, even with the Skull Dragon, the higher numbers the better, because I've seen people try to hard guard Skull Dragons. So just make sure this is out on the board, because this is a 13k. And then on top of that, use its skill, get any grade 3 possible out of your deck to your hand or to the drop zone, whatever it is you got to do. This will do it for you. The more triggers you have in deck, the higher chance you have of winning. So that's that. The last thing I want to discuss about this card is, out of all the grade 1 options that are out there, this is one of the best ride targets right now in Granblue Standard. And I say that because one, it is a Vanguard Rearguard skill, but 2, and this is the more important point of the 2, is that you would rather ride this than ride your Cutlass or your Necrobone or your Banshee or your Navigator, whatever it is that you're putting into your soul. It's better for it to be this than any other cards, because those cards should be in drop at all times. And for most Night Rose decks, people who only run Banshees as their Soul Blast, is sometimes you don't hit your Banshee because some people only put that card at 2. And if you only put it at 2, you may not hit your Banshee. And if you have a Cutlass or a Necrobone, or a Banshee in your soul, you're gonna have a really hard time getting it out, especially if a Banshee's in your soul. Like, you're kind of screwing yourself, unfortunately, because you run it, because the limit of Banshee cards that you run kind of puts you at a disadvantage for getting anything in your soul that's useful out. So this card kind of saves you that trouble quite a bit. One, it's a Vanguard Rearguard skill. It's actually the only Vanguard Rearguard skill that run in current Night Rose decks. And 2, like, why would you pick between riding this and something else? Like, obviously you're gonna ride this. This is the Vanguard guard, rear guard skill. The other ones are rear guard skills, and you'd rather guard with those. And what would you rather guard with, like this or like a necrobone? Obviously, you're gonna pick the necrobone, you know. So that's why this is another reason why this isn't bad, because riding this is usually a good thing. It makes you search for your grade 3s in case you don't pop it open into your hand, and it makes you get to your and it makes you pretty much utilize your other cards as guarding potentials. So part of what Granblue is, you guard a lot with your hand, so that way it goes into your drop zone so you can revive it back. That's like a really big mechanic that's like strongly used, right? So like you'd rather guard with your necrobone, which literally is a drop zone skill. So that's one of the reasons why this card is actually pretty good. For those who do run more Soul Blast in their decks, which is, I've only seen one deck that's done that in the recent toppings in like other locations that's not America, but for those who do that, this isn't as important. But for most people who don't and only run the Banshees, this actually does help you save that trouble of just getting all your cards into your drop zone versus having important pieces in your soul. You don't want important pieces in your soul, and you do want to soul blast as much as possible to make your skull dragons as big as possible. So yeah, but anyway, that's pretty much all the tips I have. So the Tommy Brothers in general is a really good card, and I feel like a lot of people are not really seeing its full potential, and that's why I wanted to make this video, to kind of show you guys what it's possible. I know Navigator's out there, don't worry, like I'm aware. Navigator is a good grade 3, but even putting this at like 2 copies isn't a bad thing. If you hit it, cool. If you don't, cool. You know, it's not the end of the world. Like, this card isn't like broken or anything like that. That's not the point of this video. I'm not trying to say like you have to play this card. I'm trying to explain to you what this card does. I've been playtesting it for a while. I've been playtesting it in proxies. I've been playtesting it for like about 4 months now, pretty much. Like, I'm just giving you pretty much advantages of what the what the card can advantage you to do, like the things that it can do that maybe you didn't think about when you just think of it as just a grade 3 searcher. Because if you think about it as just a grade 3 searcher, and if you think about putting in your deck for just grade 3 searcher reasons, it's not that good, because you normally, a standard Granblue deck runs 4 Nitros and 2 to 3 Skull Dragons, right? So you only have 7 cards to potentially search for. So what would be the point when you can rechain them out if you mill out the Nitros, whatever it is that you decide to do? But if you think about it more than just the grade 3 searcher, there's a lot more potential that the card has. It's a booster, it's an attacker, it filters, it's a grade 3 searcher. You know, there's a lot more that the card can provide you, and that's what I'm trying to get people to see. For those people that want to build their Granblue decks and don't know exactly what cards to put in, like, think about this card not in just a grade 3 format, because that's not the way you should be looking at grade 3 searchers in general. You should be looking at grade 3 searchers more than just a grade 3 searcher. What is this grade 3 searcher doing for your deck? Like, because if it's just a grade 3 searcher, it's kind of honestly wasting a slot, in my opinion. You might as well just, I don't know, run something else or run less copies of it. But my point is, I run this at 3. I like this card, and I thought I'd explain to you guys like what the card can do for your Granblue deck, in case you miss some of these amazing opportunities that you can have with the deck. So that's pretty much it for the video. So yeah, anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was informative for you. I hope it helps you build out your Granblue decks, and I'm so excited to see if you guys have any comments or questions or concerns or any of that stuff. I actually do have a question for this video. I had someone bring it in for me. Let me find it. Let me find it. Da-na-na-na. Okay, so the question that I got in one of my videos that will not be in this video is just asking 24 dots 10 LOL. Question I would like requesting answered in an upcoming video. Why play an abusive simulator? He changed it. Sorry, he changed it. It was like, why abuse babies originally. He changed it to abuse simulator. The question was edited literally like in the last couple minutes. Okay, so so what he's referring to, sorry. What he's I was just so shocked. He changed the question. Anyway, so what he's saying is that in this video clip right here, Force is definitely more oriented on baby attacks. And I mentioned baby attacks, and gold paladins usually attack for small numbers, so usually I call them like baby attacks because they're not like, you know, 50k columns. They're usually 12, 13, 14, 15, 16k attacks, unless you get fronts, in which case they become bigger, but for the most part they're baby attacks. Is why am I playing an abusive simulator? Well, gold paladins in general is an abusive simulator. The gold paladins as old decks were super annoying to face with superior rides, so they in general are an abusive engine if you think about it, especially in premium. So that is the answer for that. But why play an abusive simulator? Because you want to win with your gold paladins and your Ezzles. That's why. Anyway, guys, that's the question that I received last. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to pop them into the bottom below and all that fun stuff. Other than that, guys, thank you for watching the video. Hope it was informative, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to give you information that may not be useful to you. I hope it's useful, because that's kind of the point. But other than that, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys in the next one. And until then, peace out and das Vidania. Bye!